Now, what happened, and this is all randomized and controlled, when they switched over, they had no deterioration in performance. So what we wanted to do is say, okay, if there's all these health promoting benefits of a ketogenic diet, that sounds great. But all these studies and sports dogma would say that it's going to impair performance. Okay, so let's test that. Let's actually put athletes on a ketogenic diet for 4 weeks. We are going to control not only their calories, we're going to control their body composition, we're going to control their activity level, we're going to control all these key confounders that many of these prior studies never controlled, so that we could truly test the diet-induced, so the macronutrient, meaning the shift from carbs to fat, effect on performance. But we're going to do it in the same person. So now we're going to control their genetics, we're going to control their environment. Once we did that, Stephen, we tested what most people think is a very glucose-dependent form of exercise. We asked them to do 6 by 800 meter sprints. They were on a high-carb diet, and then they switched to a low-carb diet. Now, what happened, and this is all randomized and controlled, when they switched over, they had no deterioration in performance.
At 4 weeks.
At the 4-week mark, in a form of exercise that we would expect would be extremely glucose dependent, extremely carbohydrate dependent. Well, we found that these athletes recorded the highest levels of fat burning during exercise ever reported in the literature, illustrating that when these athletes—
The
ketogenic diet, that when these diets adapted to the diet for sufficiently long, they had record levels of fat oxidation, even at very high intensity levels, which means that fat was able to provide nutrients and fuel at very, very intense form of exercise when we would expect only carbohydrates would be relevant and utilizable.